the celestial pact that unleashed giants on earth. Forget Lucifer's rebellion. The celestial crime that truly poisoned our world wasn't born of pride, it was born of desire and fear. This is the story you won't find in most Bibles. A tale tucked away in the Book of Enoch about angels called the Watchers. Their mission was to observe humanity, never to interfere. But from their celestial perch, they didn't just watch, they began to desire. Stop. An angelic commander named Semyaza masterminded a cursed pact that would seal 200 angels to the same fate and unleash giants on earth. He wasn't a villain hungry for power. He was a leader terrified of facing punishment alone. So he convinced 200 of his brothers to swear an oath on Mount Hermon that would change human history forever. But here's what really happened. In the beginning, their duty was simple: to watch. From the heavens, these beings of light observed the dawn of mankind. They saw the first cities rise. They heard the first songs sung. Leading them was Semyaza. His name meant "the name has seen," a symbol of God's perfect vigilance. But as humanity multiplied, that divine focus began to shatter. The Book of Enoch, chapter 6, verse 2, tells us exactly what captured their gaze: the daughters of men. The text says, "These angels saw that the women were beautiful, and they began to lust after them." This was no fleeting glance. It was a deep, consuming obsession that spread through their ranks like a plague. In the fragile, fleeting beauty of mortal women, they saw everything their eternal existence lacked. The line between guardian and predator was about to disappear. Whispers of rebellion began to circulate. "Come, let us choose for ourselves wives from among the children of men, and beget us children." It was a mutiny sparked not by a thirst for power, but by lust. Yet Semyaza hesitated. He was just as captivated as the rest. But only he seemed to grasp the terrifying endgame, the fury of heaven, the certainty of punishment. A cold fear took hold of him. What if he alone was blamed? For Enoch 6 verse 3 records his chilling confession to the others. "I fear you will not indeed agree to do this deed, and I alone shall have to pay the penalty of a great sin." Semyaza's real tragedy was not malice, but a deeply human fear of being left to take the fall. His leadership had become his trap. Trapped by this terror, Semyaza devised a plan. He wouldn't stop the rebellion, he would lock it in stone. He would transform their shared lust into a shared unbreakable crime, binding them all to the same fate. He gathered the 200 angels on the peak of Mount Hermon, a name that would soon become synonymous with their sin. His proposal was a masterstroke of shared guilt. If we do this, we do it as one. No turning back, no singling out a leader. They would all swear a binding oath to descend together, take human wives, and face the consequences as a brotherhood. 1 Enoch 6, 4-6 says, "They bound themselves with mutual imprecations, curses, upon any who would dare break the pact." The name Mount Hermon is tied to the Hebrew word herem, meaning a curse or something devoted to destruction. The pact was sealed. Semyaza's fear of sinning alone had just guaranteed the fall of 200 angels. Once they descended, a sin of lust quickly became the corruption of an entire world. To impress their new wives, the Watchers began sharing heavenly secrets, knowledge humanity was never meant to have. 1 Enoch chapter 8 lists exactly what they taught. Azazel taught men the craft of war, how to forge swords and knives, how to make shields and breastplates. He taught women the arts of deception, how to use antimony to paint their eyes, how to beautify their eyelids and adorn themselves with precious stones and jewels. Other angels revealed the secrets of sorcery and root cutting. They taught enchantments and astrology. Almost overnight, the world was flooded with violence and vanity and dark magic. Humanity's innocence was replaced by a lust for power taught to them by their fallen guardians. In their selfish quest for pleasure, the Watchers had unleashed evil that threatened to drown the world. But the most horrifying consequence was yet to come. From the unions of fallen angels and mortal women, children were born, a hybrid race known as the Nephilim. Their name comes from the Hebrew word naphal, meaning to fall. These were the children of the fallen ones. 1 Enoch 7:2-5 describes them not as heroes but as ravenous giants. They grew to be 300 cubits tall. That's 450 feet if you take it literally, or at minimum, enormous by any standard. Their hunger was insatiable. First, they consumed all of humanity's food and resources. When the world's pantries were empty, the text says the giants turned against humanity itself. They began to devour them. They drank blood, ate flesh, and filled the earth with terror. The world became a slaughterhouse, ruled by the monstrous offspring of a broken celestial law. The planet itself groaned under their weight, and the desperate screams of mankind finally pierced the heavens. The cries for help did not go unanswered. The archangels saw the carnage and brought the case before God. Michael and Uriel, Raphael and Gabriel. The judgment was swift and absolute. 1 Enoch chapter 10 lays out the divine response. Uriel was sent to warn Noah of a great flood that would wash the world clean. Raphael was ordered to bind Azazel hand and foot and cast him into the desert wilderness, a place of jagged rocks and darkness, to await the final judgment and the fire. Gabriel was tasked with turning the giant Nephilim against each other, inciting a final, bloody civil war among the offspring of fornication. And Michael the archangel was sent to bind Semyaza and his followers. They were forced to watch the annihilation of their own giant children. Then they were imprisoned deep within the valleys of the earth for 70 generations, awaiting the day of judgment and eternal fire. Semyaza's story is chilling because it isn't about a grand quest for power. It's about earthly desire sealed by the familiar fear of facing consequences alone. In his bid to share the blame, he orchestrated a conspiracy that birthed monsters and poisoned humanity and forced God to reset the entire world with a flood. The Watchers were imprisoned, their children destroyed, and their story was scrubbed from most official scripture. Peepaw says, "Fear of standing alone can make us drag others into sin, and shared guilt doesn't make the crime any lighter, it just multiplies the judgment." Semyaza thought spreading the blame would save him. Instead, it damned 200 angels and nearly destroyed the world. The knowledge they unleashed, warfare, deception, sorcery, was never truly taken back. It was simply absorbed into the human story. You have to wonder if the Watcher's forbidden wisdom still echoes in our weapons, our politics, our obsessions. What kind of harvest are we reaping today? This isn't just ancient history. It's a warning about the consequences of breaking sacred boundaries and the terrifying power of forbidden knowledge. Genesis 6:1-4 confirms the daughters of men bore children to the sons of God. These became the mighty men of old, the men of renown, the Nephilim. Numbers 13:33 proves the Nephilim survived even after the flood. The Israelite spies saw them in Canaan and felt like grasshoppers in their sight. The Book of Jubilees, Dead Sea Scrolls, and other ancient Jewish texts all confirm this story. It wasn't just folklore, it was sacred history that got buried. If this forbidden history shook you, don't let the secret end here. Hit the like button to show you want more stories your church never taught. Subscribe to Peepaw to uncover the scrolls that were banned and burned and buried for centuries. Like, share, follow for more ancient mysteries.